Taking advantage of the break, this little girl quickly ran home to pour urine for her parents. In class time, the teacher told her to read the writing exercises, but she just kept quiet and didn't say anything. Then, the teacher asked her classmate to read for her, but her writing exercise only had the topic, which made the whole class laugh loudly. Seeing that, her classmate stood up and told the truth. Besides going to school, she also had to do a lot of housework, like feeding pigs, cutting grass, collecting firewood. In addition, she had to cook rice, make decoction, wash dishes and wash clothes. The little girl's name is Yuan. Hearing that, she felt extremely sad, because her mother named Hong had hemiplegia. She could only use a wheelchair all year round. Her father, Mr. Hui, sold tofu to feed the whole family. But unfortunately, in an accident, he fell off the cliff. Luckily he didn't die, but his spine was injured so he couldn't stand up anymore. Because her father was like that, which made her family that was already difficult, now even more difficult. Since then, Yuan had to do all the housework by herself. In the morning, she went to the river to wash clothes, then went up the mountain to cut vegetables for pigs. Then she rushed to school, but she was still late for school. Although she was criticized by the teacher, she didn't say anything. After school, Yuan ran as fast as she could home to cook for her parents. Her father wanted to help her cook, but Yuan refused. "No, I can do it. From now on, I'll cook rice." Yuan started cooking rice, then went to feed the pigs. After finishing everything, she just ate. After finishing the housework, Yuan just started doing her homework. Yuan had been busy all day, so she was very tired and fell asleep, so she forgot to do her writing exercises. The next day, she was criticized by the teacher again. Taking advantage of the break, Yuan quickly ran home, then hurriedly went back to school. Her friends all thought she was practicing long-distance running. Seeing that, Jen wanted to challenge to run with Yuan. There was no other choice, Yuan had to agree. The friends cheered together for Yuan and Jen. Yuan finally won. Actually, every day Yuan ran home to pour urine for her father, or pouring the decoction into a bowl for her father. One day, when Yuan was carrying firewood home, she suddenly saw that her mom was injecting her dad at home. Yuan hastily prevented it. Her mom said because the medical station didn't have enough nurses, her father had to get medicine to inject at home. Yuan cried and said, "Dad, don't inject." In the evening, Yuan silently read books to learn how to inject. After that, she started to practice, first rubbing alcohol on her arm. Then she took the syringe to inject in her arm. Although she was very afraid, she still tried to endure. Midnight, the father woke up but didn't see Yuan. When pulling out the drawer, he couldn't find his medicine and needles, so he hurriedly took crutches to find Yuan. When just seeing Yuan, he suddenly fell to the ground. Yuan rushed to help her father. Seeing the needle marks on Yuan's hand, he felt so guilty. Yuan comforted her father, "Dad, it's okay. I don't feel pain, just like a mosquito bite." Seeing his filial daughter, he felt so useless. Because they were so emotional, they hugged each other. Later, Yuan also learned how to get injection. Every day she injected her father. Everyone in the village admired Mr. Hui because he has a filial daughter. After school, the teacher called Yuan and told to pay 200 dong for the extra activity fee. Yuan could only nod. But when just getting to the door, Yuan heard his parents talking. There wasn't much money left in the house. After that, Yuan hurriedly put the fee sheet in her pocket. Yuan didn't tell her parents about paying because she didn't want them to think a lot. But the next day, Yuan's father suddenly gave her 200 dong and told her to pay fee. But when Yuan arrived at the school gate, she hesitated a bit. She didn't want to use the family's living expenses, so she quickly ran home. It turned out that she ran up the mountain to dig up medicinal plants. After school, she hurriedly hid the medicinal plant and carried firewood home as usual, and then started cooking. The next day, she brought medicinal plants to sell in the market. Because Yuan was busy digging and selling medicinal plants in the market, she didn't go to school all week. Then the teacher came to Yuan's house, so her parents found out that Yuan didn't go to school. When just bringing firewood home and seeing her teacher and parents, Yuan was so scared and didn't dare to say anything. The teacher gently asked Yuan. Yuan said that in order to earn money to pay fee, she went to dig up medicinal plants and brought them to sell. Her parents couldn't work, so she had to take care of herself. After that, she took out the money from her pocket and gave it to the teacher. The teacher was extremely touched and hugged Yuan. The doctor said her father's illness was getting worse, so she and her mother hugged each other and cried loudly. But Yuan didn't give up. She took a rope and tied it to her father. With her mother's help, she tried to pull her father to sit up. Just like that, she helped her father practice. Although she was very tired, she still didn't stop. After knowing about Yuan's difficult situation, her friends helped her. Together they went to Yuan's house and helped her do the housework, wash clothes, clean the house. The teacher also wrote Yuan's story into an article and sent it to the newspaper office. While cleaning the house, Jen suddenly saw a bracelet exactly like Yuan's one. He then told his mother named Yu. Knowing that, Yu was extremely shocked. She remembered many years ago, She wore this bracelet for her daughter, and left her daughter at the temple. When seeing Yuan's bracelet, she confirmed that Yuan was her daughter. Then she went to Yuan's house. She knelt in front of Yuan's parents, and told the truth. She wanted to take Yuan her home. It turned out that when she left Yuan at the temple, Yuan's parents saw her, and took her home. Yuan's mother got a little angry, and drove you away. Before leaving, you also left her home address. After that, Yuan's parents also calmed down. They didn't want Yuan to live hard anymore. They decided to bring Yuan back to her biological mother. That night Mr. Hui wrote a piece of paper, and his wife packed up Yuan's clothes. Actually, he didn't want Yuan to leave. The next day, Yuan obeyed her father to take the bag, and a letter to an address. Unexpectedly, it was Zhen's house, her classmate. After you received the letter, she was very touched and hugged Yuan. You told Yuan that she was Yuan's biological mother, and then gave the letter for Yuan to read. After reading the letter, Yuan couldn't accept this, so she got angry and ran out. You had to drive Yuan home, but when getting home, she found that the door was locked. Yuan rushed to find her parents. Everyone in the village also helped Yuan. When it got dark, finally they also found Yuan's parents in the mountain. Yuan cried and knelt in front of her parents. I don't want to go anywhere. Mom and dad had raised me up, so mom and dad are my biological parents. I will never leave my parents. I just want to stay with my adoptive parents. Thanks to the article the teacher wrote, many people knew about Yuan's story. There were many kind people who had donated money for Yuan. There were also overseas Chinese coming to help Yuan's family. The film was remade based on the true story of Yuan in My Chao. Yuan's mother was disabled. Yuan's father was also seriously injured in an accident. Therefore, Yuan had to do everything by herself, like doing all the housework, washing clothes, cooking rice, cutting vegetables to feed the pigs, collecting firewood, cooking decoction, and pouring urine. At the same time, she also had to go to school. She was often tired and fell asleep, so sometimes she didn't do her homework. But Yuan was still strong and optimistic, and she was also always filial to her parents, which made many people touched. It's worth it for us to learn. If you are also touched, please like and follow our page more. See you on the next movies.